And we're live. Mitch,
Justin, good to see you.
great to have you here, man. Thanks for coming on, being my second guinea pig on this little experiment I call a podcast.
Yeah, so you've been doing some experimenting on YouTube, I see, with doing some live streaming.
Quite a bit, man. I think this one of the things I've found about teaching online is it can be incredibly isolating, and you compound that with the shitstorm that's been 2020. You gotta
Yes,
you gotta find.
literally zero fun 2020.
Yeah, because like prior to 2020, whenever I felt like, oh, I need to get out, I would just go work at a coffee shop, and that was like, I'm now around humans. That's what I felt like. Granted, luckily now I have a wife and kids, so it doesn't feel that much or that way that often. But before that, it definitely felt that way. And this live stream, what it's really cool about, I think, is actually interacting with a lot of these people who may just have found you or have been watching you for years. So I actually really recommend that you do it if you are.
Do you have a Discord channel? Like, do you do a community Discord channel thing?
Not yet. I did Slack a few years back, and I found that it was just eating up a lot of my time. And I don't know. How about you? Like,
Yeah. So the way you framed that was like, sometimes I get like I'm isolated and I want to go out and I go to the coffee shop thing. I really think this Discord channel like scratches that itch for me. Like a lot of my family and friends ask me like, don't you feel isolated when you just sit in this room? This is where I live, basically when you think about it, 8, 10 hours every day. And they think like, are you a psycho? Like, why do you like that? And I always reply by, it's not as isolating as you think. And one of the main contributors to that, I think, is the Discord channel. Like my first at least hour every day is like just going through there, chatting, answering some questions, and then throughout the day, like I go back and forth, and we just talk and we just bullshit about stuff. A lot of the time, there's like a memes channel, there's like a whining and complaining channel, and we just like I don't know. It feels like that is more than what you would get at a workplace, even like So I don't know. I think that's a good avenue to go and explore for sure.
yeah, I mean, I have to check that out. I think you and I are on a like a private Discord as well. That I have come around to the notion of having a CFE Discord, and I think the cool thing, all the things that you're mentioning is right there, connecting with these people. I think that's the gist of it, right? Is we want to connect more with the people we're working with so that we can help them better at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, yeah, and but there's one thing I like. There's two ways you could go about it, right? Like you could do a paid one and only allow like your paying members to join, or you could do like a free one and let everybody and their aunt join. I really think the paid way is the way to go, not just to like be like, oh, join my membership and get access to this Discord. Not just for that, but because it keeps it like refined. You have people in there who they're more serious, and they're more serious because they're paying the money. Even if it's like $5, like even if you put a $5 pay wall up, it's still like I feel like it filters out some of the non-serious people, the people who are just like go in there and spam or like ask random questions, and you can tell they put zero effort into like looking this up for themselves, things like that. The real like time eaters, those people.
Sure, sure, sure. We see this a lot in these live chats that I do from time to time. So your Discord is only for members of your website, or are you doing it through YouTube memberships? How do you actually manage that?
Yeah, so I have it through membership on my website, but also this is like a secret way to get it that not very many people know. You can go to Patreon and donate $1, and you will get onto the Discord. But that's what I mean, like even just having that dollar there, I feel like it's just like that little filter that keeps out the people who are just going to go in there and ask some question that they put zero effort into researching, and they're just looking to like, hey, I got a project for school, and I was hoping that you could like send me the source code for Facebook or something. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here!
Yeah, that's funny.
Zero effort.
Yeah.
So how have these live stream things been for you? Like I've thought about live streaming coding a lot, and every way I think about it, I just think Oh man, I don't know. There's just so much opportunity for mistakes, and they inevitably happen always. Like what has your experience has been like with that?
Yeah, well, really low stakes for the vast majority of people that come on, right? So it is free. I'm not charging anyone for a lot of these live streams. And I think part of it is incredible, right? So part of it is I have to be on, and if I mess up, people see it. I think that's
Mm,
also part of the process. Like, so if I'm teaching in a live stream, especially, now it's frustrating for me while I'm doing it. So I did one on tests, right? So writing unit tests in Django, and it went bad. It went really bad. It was like watching it's like watching paint dry. At least that's how
oh, so just boring. So just boring.
it was boring, but also I had one line switched,
Mm,
and so in a Django unit test you got a class, and if you accidentally change where you are assigning a certain property of that class, it just totally messed up, and I had no idea why, because I'm trying to get through all this different material, and I'm like, I don't have time to figure this part out right now. Where of course,
mm,
if I was in a class, like if I was recording a class, I would pause the recording, figure out what's going on, go back,
mm.
and then talk about how I messed up in the code. So I definitely acknowledge when I do mess up, even in classes. I
Yeah.
think that's important.
Yeah, oh, yeah, of course. Because otherwise, they're just going to be like, what? They just adds massive confusion because you glaze over something that didn't make sense, and then they're left just like, what?
Yes.
Yeah.
So luckily, fortunately for this particular instance, I was able to find that bug in the code without spending too much time. It was just about working through a few more things. So I guess at the end of the day, the people that did watch all of that and I didn't lose them, they actually saw how I can debug things in real time,
Right.
and frustrated. Add the broadcast on top of it, things that like add additional pressure. It's not that much pressure because I'm still talking to my camera and my computer, so like I
Yeah.
don't actually see all you guys sitting out there in a big class or something. But that was an instance that might have a silver lining to it, right? But it's definitely something that would never happen when I record courses. Another instance happened. The garbage collector comes on Tuesdays, but between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Like it's never consistent when they come. And I was just
Mm.
doing these live streams at 10 a.m. for about an hour, hour and a half, right? It came 10 minutes into my live stream, and I had to wait for like 10 minutes to have it finished. That was another thing that
Because it's super loud or what?
super loud. So I'm in my studio right now. It comes right outside my studio,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's like, oh man, it was a bummer. But I think the other thing is with these live streams, something that I've experienced that maybe you might as well, is the actual duration of views are so much higher. Like people stick with you on a live stream a lot longer than some of my other videos.
The views are yeah, the views are always better. Like, that's why I've gone back and forth about it so many times. But I think like, okay, the views are better, but how many people are really watching it as opposed to having it open? Also, I don't think the teaching is as good because it's not as refined. Like you see, like you're gonna make mistakes. You're definitely going to make mistakes. One positive, I guess, like you mentioned, is the debugging process. Somebody can actually see you debug something, which is a very valuable skill. Like you have to have those skills. But at the same time, like you also can get tunnel vision. Like you're in it and you know it, and then something isn't working, and you're in front of 100 people, 200 people, 1,000 people, and you're like, okay, and you get tunnel vision, and then it's like, okay, then what? Then that's the big thing. I don't know. That sounds terrible to me. Like just the small risk that would happen once out of 100 times, which is very likely that it would happen, is seems like not worth. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I would enjoy it and it would be a gay old time. Wouldn't have to do any editing. You know. I don't know. Editing is probably my least favorite thing to do. So
Sure. I challenge you to try it out, because the other thing is like it adds a level of personality that you don't necessarily get in a recorded video, just like as if you were teaching in front of a class. But the other part that I think is good is if you start getting really good at doing live broadcast teaching, imagine how good your courses are going to get, right? Because then the editing will come down a lot because you'll be so used to doing the live broadcasts. I think of like the university professors that are teaching in front of hundreds of students, like they got that material down, right?
There is too that those university professors, yes, they have the material down, but they have it down because they've been teaching it for so long. It doesn't change much usually. So like your first year of teaching compared to your fifth to 10th year of teaching, you're on autopilot probably for a lot of it. And like
Yeah.
with but with our stuff, it is the nature of it is that it's always new. So I I don't think that's like a great comparison. It's like I don't know, because you're comparing something that like if you were to tell me to rebuild a course that I've done already, I'd be like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. But like something new and always new, it's I don't know. I don't know.
It's tricky. Well, I think his name's David Mulan at CS50 for Harvard. Great YouTube channel, has so much energy. Definitely teaches a lot of the fundamentals.
CS50 or something you said?
CS50, yeah. Definitely worth checking out. Like the guy is amazing. Like his broadcast, so he streams everything. He has such a breadth of knowledge and a depth.
Cat picture guy?
Cat picture. Just look for the YouTube channel CS50.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
He has a teacher aide on there too. Like I am just floored by his presentation because not only is he moving around the stage, like so he has a stage that he sets up. Even now with everyone virtual, he works on this stage.
Yeah, I see. There's like props and
Oh
stuff.
my gosh, dude,
Oh,
it's amazing. Like he's really really good. But not only is he like explaining things amazingly and also taking live questions from these students, but he also maintains this incredible high energy. And I think for me, that's like one of those challenges that I'm trying to overcome. But to your point about like the cutting edge, like it's a revolving door of cutting edge. Absolutely. But there's still fundamentals that a lot of people still need to learn that I think that you and I put us in a room somewhere, we probably can teach a lot of those fundamentals really well. And that's actually what I did with my Django bootcamp. So that live thing,
I see.
it was pretty much fundamentals. I think the
Right.
cutting edge stuff, yeah, you should probably record that because you might have to re-record it several times. But the fundamentals, I don't know. I feel like for me, once I learned the fundamentals of Python and Django, I was hooked, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna do this for a really long time. I never thought I could do it before that, and now I can. You know what I mean? So I do challenge that for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely sounds much more realistic to do things that I already have on autopilot, basically. You know, like the basic things that every app needs, but just yeah, I'm sure a lot of beginners would actually get a lot of benefit out of it. Maybe I will accept your challenge.
Cool.
Maybe I will.
I love it.
Yeah,
So
might have to do it.
what are you working on right now? What's new in Mitch's
Well,
world?
yeah. Well, the most recent project is actually a Django project.
Nice.
I'm building a real-time chat website. I don't know how I end up picking topics. I just sort of, I don't know. I go through the stuff and I look for things that like I'm interested in and like I think would be like valuable skills. So yeah, somehow I came along like, oh, I want to build a real-time chat app. Okay, how do I do that? Or like like an Android app, right? Because I usually do Android. And I was
Sure.
like, okay, how do I do that? And I read all these things about these different, like, I guess, tools like socket.io and things like that. And I was like, oh, okay, those look okay. You see mixed reviews about them. Like, some are like, this is amazing. Some are like, this is garbage. I'll never use this in my company again. It caused us so many problems. We had to rewrite everything. So there's like all these things. And then I'm like, okay, well, how do I just like build something myself then without using these tools that exist that might be good and might be bad. So I stumbled along. I'm like, oh, I do Python, Django. Cool. Let's see what Python has. And they had channels 2 that came out recently, which looked awesome. So now I'm building a real-time chat app with Django, channels 2, WebSockets, and it's really cool. Like really, really cool. I'm really happy I did it. It's going to have like, so obviously authentication, all like registration, login, reset password, all that basic stuff. Change your profile picture because it's a chat. So that's like one added thing to the user system. It's going to have a public chat. So anybody, just like Twitch, imagine Twitch. Like you go to
Sure.
obviously I'm not going to have like a streaming thing next to it, but there's going to be the Twitch chat essentially.
Yes.
Anybody can join, anybody can chat. There's a little counter up in the top right that says how many people are connected to that particular chat at the given
Or in
time.
this case, the YouTube chat, because that's where we are. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know why I said Twitch, and yeah, YouTube chat is right in front of me. I don't know.
It's funny.
But
Well, so Django channels 2, are you
yeah,
using Django 3 as well and asynchronous views
no,
or no? Okay.
no. Yeah, what am I? I'm using Django, the LTS, whatever. I think it's 2.2
Yes.
is the
Yes.
LTS.
Good call. I agree with that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I'd always go with the LTS just because of less work usually.
Yeah.
But and also like I was thinking about it, and I've been looking into this async views stuff, and although it looks very cool, and I'm happy that Django is going in that async direction. I mean, it's not really gonna make a difference for me right now for this. Like, it really makes zero
Yeah.
difference. So I use the async chat, the async consumers for the
Sure.
WebSocket, but I could have used a sync consumer. It really would have made zero
Yeah.
difference. There's only a few instances in a couple of the functions when I could have bundled them together and done them all asynchronously, but I did it just because I don't know. It was available and there was no really reason not to. So I just used the async consumer.
Yeah, I think the
So
performance gains on the server side might be there, but that would be worth testing. But while you're learning it, it doesn't really make a difference. Yeah,
yeah.
I really like channels too. I have a few things covering that as well. But it's been a few.
Oh, and there's more. I wasn't even
Oh,
done.
sorry.
There's more features.
Keep let's
There's
hear it.
public chat. It's going to be private chat. So I made it sort of like it's like a Facebook feel. You know, you can log in, register, set your profile picture. You have a profile that people can visit. You can add friends, remove friends, send friend requests, all that stuff. And then if you are friends, you can start a real-time chat with somebody. So two people in a private chat, basically. So there's a view where it shows like all your friends, kind of like Facebook Messenger, and you can click on them and it opens up a private chat, keeps the chat history, all that stuff, and also real-time notifications. So
Wow.
get a friend request, you get a real-time notification. You remove a friend, you get a real-time notification. Anything to do with friends, you get a notification. Chat messages, those private chat messages, you also get notifications for those in real time, and they're all like up in the bar, just like Facebook has. You know, you click them, it goes red when somebody sends you a message, and then you can click it. There's a drop down. Yeah, it's cool. I had a lot of fun. I definitely think Django and Python is like my favorite programming language. Like if I had known more about programming when I started programming, I probably would have done with Python what I did with Android. But this is the path that I've chosen. So
Yeah, for sure.
so
We have to get into Android and Java and Flutter and all these things in a minute, but that is a very complete Django Channels 2 series.
you guys can all go check it out. By the way, openchat.xyz. It's live. That'll be the product that you get to build in the course. So go to
Ooh,
openchat.xyz.
Mitch, I'm gonna pull it up right now. Openchat.xyz.
Yeah, I will too. Let's chat. There's a public chat right on the home screen. So register and say hi to me in the public chat on the home screen.
Look at this. Version 3?
Version 3.
It just said version 3.0 in the top. Am I in the wrong place? Openchat.
Openchat.xyz.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Like
I don't see anything that says version 3.
it went away. So it's the C in the top corner.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, so you don't actually see this feed.
Yeah, I wish you could share your screen so I could look and see what you're
I
doing.
know.
I can share my screen.
Yeah, share your screen. Let's see that.
So this is what it should look like.
Hang on.
Is that what you see?
Hang on 1 second. Let me make sure it's coming over to the live stream here. No, it's not showing.
Okay.
Open dash chat. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, my bad.
There it is. Okay, so I'm at. If you just go to open chat, no dash.
Chat.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry.
No worries. That's where the version 3. Okay, there we go. Open dash chat.
Got it. Open-chat.xyz.
Yeah. So Mitch, just so you know, I've got you in the corner of the screen right now, and the web page is open with you. But I see this.
Yeah, everybody watching, go there and register and say hi in the public chat. We'll say, and it's live right now, so it'll show up.
Cool. You must be authenticated. Nice. I see Bootstrap's in there.
Oh yeah, I'm not a good web developer. I have to use Bootstrap.
Dude, that is not something that needs to be said. You like if you're a good developer or not, Bootstrap's amazing. So
Yeah, I think it is. People, I just hear like people who are like, web developers. If you say Bootstrap, they like turn their nose up, and I'm like, okay, it seems great to me.
I think it's because it's been around a long time and it hasn't changed that much, and there's all these like new hotness out too. I think that's it. This is something I find kind of obnoxious about software developers or like the software bro, software
Mm.
bro. Um, I have to go in, so we're both on there. But the software bro that's like, no, 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 you shouldn't do that, bro. You should do this. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that is one of these things that like I think is a bad part of technology because there are people that are
yeah.
incredibly intelligent that are absolutely right, but then when they approach it like, nah, bruh, don't do that. It's like I don't need that. Anyways,
No, it's not. It's not helpful.
it's not. Bootstrap gets
Eh,
that rap way too often, right? Bootstrap is awesome. I'm a huge fan of Mark Otto, who one of the key developers of Bootstrap. So yeah,
I also use there's another product. I'm just gonna openly endorse them here for free,
sure.
but it's called MD Bootstrap. So if you go to MD Bootstrap, bootstrap.com, I think it's .com. They have it's a guy who took Bootstrap and he built upon it. So it's really awesome. That's what I use for codingwithmitch.com. But it's Bootstrap, but with extra like material design, I guess you would say components and styles. Very, very cool. Costs like $100 if you want to buy it, but it's worth it, I think. There's a free version too. You just don't get kind of everything. But yeah, free endorsement for that guy. You're welcome.
Wow, the bundle that he sells is $600. At least the one I found.
Oh,
As long as I'm on
I
the same
bought it like
website.
2 years ago, and it was like $100. So maybe he's increased his price. I don't know.
Or maybe it's for. Did you use just?
Just boots, like just I got the most basic one.
Got it. It looks
He's got a
like
bunch.
he's got a few. Yeah, here's one that's 100 pound or 100 euros rather.
Maybe that's what it was, 100 euros. Yeah.
Yeah, roughly 100 US dollars. Roughly. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. That's the thing is for me about Bootstrap is just the grid system that it has and
Oh yeah.
the class naming conventions. Like
So easy.
yeah, so moving into something like this, it's incredibly easy. So yeah, huge fan. Um,
And like it gets done which you got to get done for most, like if you got your basic needs, like you're good. You don't need some shit popping out at you and flying around and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, sure, that's fine, but I don't know. Don't yeah.
yeah. So are you going to be putting your open chat? Are you going to make an Android application to work on top of it, or?
Yeah, so that's the plan. So I wanted to build something with sockets, and I was looking for like when I build courses, I like to show them the whole picture if I can. And I've done this with another app where I built a blogging website, and then I built an Android app to communicate with the blogging website using the Django REST framework. So yeah, with this, it's going to be similar. I'll use the Django REST framework for this too. Hook it up so that all the authentication stuff works through the app too, through the REST API, and then do probably OK HTTP using connecting to the sockets. I haven't built the app yet, so I don't have like the specifics down. But yeah, I intend to build an app that does everything that the website will do. So that the mobile version of the website is essentially you don't want to use it. You'd want to use the app.
Got it. Cool.
It'll be cool. Yeah, it'll be very cool. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a cool one.
So have you, since you mentioned this, I was going to ask you this. I'm like, why Java? But you said Python if you started over. Have you played with any Python GUI applications at all, like tkinter or? Looks like we might have a disconnect here. Mitch, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, cool. We're back.
All right.
Skype. So, did you hear the part about Python GUIs? Have you done anything with that?
Yeah, no, I haven't touched it. The only Python stuff I've ever really done is I've written like a few scripts and Django, all web development. Yeah, I only really did it in the first place, watching your courses actually to build my own
Oh,
website,
thanks.
which was like the best thing I ever did. So like I should just pay you like a monthly dividend actually, because without you, I don't know if I would be able to like sustain life. So thank you. Because your
Thanks.
course, yeah, your courses were what made me able to build my own website, and now that is what I live on. So
Wow,
awesome.
that's quite a review. Thank you. I promise everyone else I did not set that up at all. that's it's cool. Thanks, Mitch. I appreciate it. But still, at the end of the day, you did the work, right? So
Yeah.
I provided some things for you, but just like me, I learned from documentation, all these other things, and I definitely appreciate what the people before me did. But it's awesome to see that you've taken what I've helped you with and put it into your own work, and you're now helping many other people, which I like is like so satisfying to see. Um,
Yeah.
and
Allowed me to break away from like being employed also, which is awesome. And like I don't have to, like before I was writing content for Pluralsight and making courses for them, which was fine, but like they put you in this box and you have to make courses that fit in their box. And I think they're shit personally. They have a shitty box. And so being able to like go and do my own thing is like way better. I just feel like I can make way better stuff. I can do what I want. It's great. Awesome.
Wow. I remember you saying that about Pluralsight before. I haven't had enough experience with their material to know. Other than I heard a raving review from them from oh geez, what's his name? Ben Solons. He ran the YouTube channel Teslanomics. I think he changed it to Ben Solons, but
Oh yeah. That guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently he's like really tight with the Pluralsight people, and
I think he's got courses.
yeah,
He's got data, whatever.
data science
He's a data
courses. Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
big data guy. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, interesting. Yeah, well, it's cool to see where you've taken everything, man. Like even in a couple years, you've really taken control of everything that you're trying to do, which is awesome. I guess
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
I mean the next thing is like what's next for you? What are you working on now as far as after the Django things? What's your like next couple year goal? Would you say?
I got plans. I got plans for courses anyway, but I think about this more and more. Like this thought enters my mind more and more that like I like making courses. I like it because basically I get to choose a topic and then I just go and like explore that topic and I make something cool. Like that's I could do that for the rest of my life. That's like the ideal thing for me to do. It's like tinkering. I just get to tinker with stuff forever. That's great.
Sure.
I like
Yeah,
that.
that's awesome.
Yeah. But then like I think about it and I'm like and some part of me wants to like go and build something, like something that lots of people are going to use. Um so like but but I'm not a person that's going to sit and waste a bunch of time and go down an avenue that might not pay off. It would just be I don't want to waste time. So I think about this more and more like I said, but I don't have any like big ideas, I guess you would say. But if any big idea came up, I would probably pursue that pretty aggressively. And I would just like try to build that product or whatever. But again, like I don't want to take any chances. I got married. I got a kid coming now. I bought a house. Like
Congratulations.
there's just things now that I am like, I'm not going to take a risk unless the risk is very, it's a good risk. It's a high probability that this thing is going to pay off. So yeah, I mean, if some kind of an idea came up, I would definitely pursue that. But other than that, I'm just focusing on keeping on doing what I'm doing. It's been really good. Yeah, just come up with cool ideas, build cool projects, and build the community more. I'd maybe like to get into iOS stuff, but the laptops are like, what are they like $3,000, $4,000? And I keep thinking like, is it really worth it to buy this thing? I don't know. So trying to get Apple to send me one.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
You could always get an older one too. Like
Yeah.
my 2015 MacBook Pro is still pretty legit. So I bought a what was it 20 last year? I bought a MacBook Pro and it died on me. They refunded it back to me, which was great. So stoked that
Wow.
Apple did that. They refunded it like a month and a half later because it completely died and they have no idea why.
Mm.
So they refunded it back to me, and I went back to my 2015 MacBook Pro, and I was shocked that it could handle the workload like the 2019 MacBook Pro in a very similar way.
They're great computers, that's for sure. I had a, I think it was a 2010 MacBook. It wasn't a Pro. It was like one of those thicker ones that they had back then.
Yeah,
I think it cost me like $1,300 or something, and that was like an expensive laptop for me back then.
sure.
But that thing was like so
Yeah,
reliable. Like I could turn it on today, and it would just keep on trucking for sure. It's old and slow, but it would be. There's no way you would get that out of a PC laptop. Like no way. Even 5 years for a laptop is like, maybe I don't know. It'd be an iffy one.
yeah. But as far as the challenge of getting into iOS and tvOS and watchOS, being that you're coming from Android development, it seems like a really natural progression for you,
Yeah, it would be.
and the idea that you could then cross develop these applications
Exactly. Yeah.
and knowing it inside and out. So Swift, have you used it at all? Like
Zero.
zero. Okay, so
Yeah.
Swift is.
Oh, you've done
Oh
some.
yeah. When it first
Oh,
when it
nice.
first
Okay.
came out, I started doing courses on it, but I decided to go more towards just doing Python and web development because I still believe that the internet is going to be a critical piece to connecting everything. So
Yeah.
therefore, I still focus a lot on the internet. Um, However, that being said, there are other things I'll get into in just a second. But the Swift itself is a lot like Python and JavaScript. I haven't used Java. I mean, I've dabbled a little bit, but nothing to the point where I could say it's like Java at all. Like I don't know it that well is the point. But I do know that Swift is a lot like Python and JavaScript and many of the things that it does syntactically.
Mm.
So I do recommend that you check that out because the other thing is you like speaking of like people that are actively out there trying to get it. There's a lot of iOS people that are just doing iOS. They don't even think about doing Android because of
Mm.
the market that iOS claims that their apps, the people that buy their apps, spend a lot more money. So I think it's safe to assume
Mm.
that the students would also at least invest more time getting there as well. Maybe not, but that's just my take on it.
Yeah. No, I've thought about it a lot. But now, like only recently, Flutter's come out, and Flutter looks like a legit product. So now it's like, okay, I could probably spend the same amount of time learning iOS as opposed to. I mean, Flutter would probably be a little faster, but it would be relatively the same. And then I wonder, could I just do Flutter? Like I'm quite curious about Flutter. I spent a whole month actually just doing Flutter.
Mm,
Like I came to work 8 hours a day. I worked on Flutter for a month just to like see really what it was about, so I had a real opinion. And it's pretty awesome. It's honestly pretty awesome. I still think you still have to write native code at the end of the day. You're still going to have to write some iOS native code and some Android native code if you got to build some special thing. But like probably 80% or 90% of the app could be done just with Flutter. And if it's not a special app, if it's a your run of the mill display data, login users, do stuff that's basic, you're not going to have any issues. You could probably build all with Flutter. So, and it's the UI design is excellent. Like Android one, like there's a lot of bad things about Android, but probably the worst thing I'd say is like the layout, how you have to build layouts and how the different components don't interact with other components. And it's just like there's so much things and new stuff that comes out, and new thing doesn't interact well with old thing, but it interacts with like this other random old thing. There's just like a lot of
mm.
complexity. And with Flutter, it was very, very, very easy to build very nice UIs with animations and nice stuff. The UI stuff was like thumbs up. Awesome.
So have you used React Native at all or Ionic? No. Okay,
No.
so that would be a comparison I'd love to hear at some point from you. But it sounds like to me that if you were going to be starting to build a mobile application in your eyes, would that be definitely use Flutter since it does compile for both iOS and Android, correct?
Yeah. if you wanted to, if like you're an entrepreneur or you're in a small tech startup and you need to build an app for the product idea that you have, probably at the very least, Flutter is a good idea for the MVP, because it's a quick development time. You can make it look good. At the very least, I think like it does. You can set up some shitty back end that just does the job. You can do whatever you need just to get it to work, and use Flutter and see if it catches speed. And then I would think like, okay, do we continue with Flutter? Do we have to rebuild our back end? Should we go native and build two apps, iOS and Android? But I think, yeah, for sure, at the very least, if you're just starting out, an MVP in Flutter is probably the way to go, because it's just going to be quicker.
Got it. How much time did you spend learning Dart then? Mitch? Oops. And Skype. This is Skype. I think we.
That's why Skype sucks.
You're right. Are you back?
Oh, you're back?
We're back.
Oh, you heard me say this is why Skype sucks.
I said something not as harsh to Skype, but yeah. Maybe I'll have to do Zoom for the next one or something.
I use Streamlab, StreamYard.
Does it have?
And I've never had.
Does it have NDI capability?
I don't know. I have no idea. I just use it for like the basic make a live stream to YouTube, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, so something that you haven't been seeing, but I've been switching scenes. So sometimes when you're talking a lot,
you should watch the live stream.
Yeah, if you go on the live stream, you'll see it. If I'm talking a lot, I'll go to my talking head, and then if you're talking a lot, I go directly
it's
to
just like literally talking head.
Yeah, but then when we're having an actual conversation, I'll put us side by side. This is actually what I wanted more of, because like my goal with this podcast, this is an experiment for me for sure. But if I can get it to a point where it's sustaining itself and I can actually fly guests to a proper studio, that's like that's
awesome.
like my long-term goal for it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And there's so many people I want to talk to. And what better way than just to pick their brain for like an hour or more, depending on their time. You know what I mean? And so I've heard a lot of things about Flutter. I definitely want to get back into that. But the reason I used Skype was to embed you on this page. It doesn't say Skype anywhere. I just cut that off. I cropped the Skype part off of it. And at some point, I'll have somebody here actually working on the scenes themselves. So I don't have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you want to make a Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, maybe not Joe Rogan, because I'm not him at all. I don't think I could just talk to anybody like he does. Like I don't know if you feel this way, but if somebody's,
I'm sure he does prep. I'm sure he preps. He must, like, even like an hour of prep is like goes a long way, I think.
You think he does? I don't know. Cuz he's doing sometimes 3+ hours with a person, and then maybe an hour later he does another one, or 2 hours later. I've seen him tweet that and put it on Instagram too.
Like he knows who they are, and it's not difficult to like, sit on the toilet and check out some guys like social stuff and like just, that's research too.
That's fair.
Like, I don't mean like detailed like written notes and like stuff. I just mean like he's checked them out and he knows what they're about. And
absolutely. But I think you're right. I would love to ask him that question someday. But the point is, even if he knows a little bit about them and what they're about, he still has conversations with these people for 3+ hours, and he captivates that. I just don't know if I have that in me yet. I haven't attempted, whatever. He has 1,500 podcasts at this point,
For sure, a talented guy.
Yeah.
For sure. Like he has a skill, and that's his skill.
Yeah, my interest is technology and entrepreneurship. It's not as broad as I would say his is, right? He likes commentary on social society, right? Like,
yeah. Also, yeah, like if you had a broader spectrum of the things that you could talk about, that would probably make it easier too. Like us two here could easily sit, when we're going to sit, for an hour to an hour and a half, probably talking about tech strictly like just what we do in our day jobs. If that opened up to like our friends, our hobbies, you know, what we think about other random stuff, you could talk for a long time, I think. I don't know. There's a lot of things to be said. Yeah, you changed your name. I noticed that. Why'd you change the name to Coding Entrepreneurs, right? Oh, did not know that. I always thought it was Coding for Entrepreneurs. Uh, mm.
Shoot, we lost me. You lost me for like 10 minutes.
What?
Sorry, guys. Uh,
What? You were there?
you could hear me, Mitch, but the
Oh,
stream
you had no sound for like 10 minutes?
maybe not 10 minutes. Hopefully not 10 minutes. Hopefully it's only a few
Yikes.
minutes.
How did you
I
lose the
took a drink of
sound?
water and I muted it.
What?
This is why I need somebody there clicking on it. Maybe I don't think
How long? How long? Live
two
stream, how
minutes.
long
Two
was
minutes.
that?
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay. Was I even talking? Well, I hope I wasn't just listening to you.
You said some stuff. Not 10 minutes. 3 minutes max. Okay, cool. As I just got done saying that I'm like after trying to be like Joe. This is hilarious, right?
You need Jamie.
I needed
That's why.
Jamie. I know.
How old are your kids?
So my oldest daughter is 3. My youngest is 1.
Okay.
Um,
Can't trust them to operate the sound then.
Not yet, dude. Not yet. But it's so fun. I'm actually curious on the live chat. You guys tell me. Somebody's asking me to repeat. Where did you miss it? And we'll go back. Man, what an amateur move. This is what's fun about live broadcasting, but also not. How about
I think we were talking about Joe Rogan and how he's able to hold a conversation. Was that it? You guys remember hearing about that? That was me talking though.
you did? Yeah. So they probably heard you. So and they just didn't hear my response to that. No, actually, I don't know because I did put you on mute. Or I put myself on mute just for a few seconds. Yeah, you heard Joe. So it must have been whatever was after that. But
right.
but
Well,
hopefully
it's in the
what
past.
happens though, if I can make just the podcast itself sustain itself, I'll fly you to a studio just like Joe does with his guests, and we'll have these long conversations. We'll have some whiskey. We'll talk about
awesome.
our kids. You know, all of
awesome.
that. So you got a little one on the way. What's going on there?
Yeah. So last year I got married. I've been
Congrats.
with my wife for 10 years or so.
Wow.
Long time. Yeah. We finally got married. Got married in the Bahamas.
Cool.
And I know what you're thinking. You think we're rich? We go get married in the Bahamas? Not true. It doesn't cost as much as you think. My wedding was actually, I bet you, cheaper. It is. It's been cheaper than all of any of my friends' weddings. So not that bad. So yeah, we got married, and then our plan was to have kids after we got married, and so we started trying to do that. And now I think she's 6 months pregnant or something. So baby's gonna be born in February. We're having a girl.
Congrats.
Also. Thanks. You got a girl or a girl and a boy?
Two girls. Two girls. Yeah.
You trying for more?
Yeah, we probably will have more.
Cool. When's the time to stop? Is the question then?
Maybe when my hair turns gray.
What? You're just gonna keep pumping them out?
No, I'm just kidding. We definitely want to have more kids. We don't know what the number is yet. So we're definitely gonna have 3. That's the plan. Once we have 3, we'll figure it out. I think that we both have 3 siblings.
Skype. Just being great.
Skype.
Huh?
Skype. We missed it.
I lost you there. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah. So what? How many?
we're not sure yet. So we're gonna have a 3rd, and then we'll see where we go from there. We both have 3 siblings ourselves. So
You guys are
Maybe.
convinced that three is the answer right off the bat for sure.
Um. Well, when my youngest was maybe what 4 months old, so almost at the start of the pandemic, I got no sleep. And if you asked me then, I would have been like, "I'm getting a vasectomy. We're done."
It's over. Yeah.
Yeah, but the you'll find this at once you have your daughter and they grow up. It's like you won't understand what love is until you actually have your own child. Um,
I've heard this many times from other people.
and it's like it's impossible to really fully appreciate that until you have your own children. At least that's how I felt, right?
Mm.
It's definitely going to be different for everybody. But once you get past like the selfishness of tired, then and you start
Selfishness of tired. Oh
seriously,
God.
I'm not kidding. But maybe you're lucky. I mean, I had a friend. His kid never had problem sleeping at all, ever. No sleep training, just great sleeper.
Mm.
And so that does happen for sure. It just my youngest Dakota, she had some sleep things, and we did what we can, and then finally sleep came back. And once that happened, and cooler heads started prevailing, then it's like, okay, well, what do we want? We definitely want some more children.
Mm.
Um,
I think
but
another thing is like the pregnancy with the wife. Like some women have terrible pregnancies where
yeah,
like they're sick and they look like balloons and they're like throw up all the time and it's just terrible. But then some people are totally fine. So that's like another thing too. Because it could be 9 months of torture or 9 months of who cares. I don't know.
very very good point. And in my wife's case, she had two mostly pain-free pregnancies. Like she didn't get sick a whole lot. I mean, there's all sorts of things that happen with pregnancies anyway, but I think overall that was really smooth. But really
Mm.
for us, I think with siblings, now it's not for everybody to have multiple kids, but for siblings, like my relationship with my siblings is the reason why I also want to have more children is because I want to give that to my children as well. It's like a gift
Right.
that you don't realize as a parents that you're giving. That's going.
Until you're like 20 or older, probably
Yeah,
even.
yeah. How about you guys? Are you thinking of more than one? I mean, maybe it's too early to even know, but
In my head, I think I would have as many as she wants to have. It's not, and I feel like it's not even really up to me because I think she carries the burden, really. Like I do nothing. My job is very simple compared to what they do. So yeah, I would say an upper limit of four probably, but I would if she said two for sure. So 2 to 4 is what the target would be.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Five would be like unmanageable because you'd have to buy like moving van to move anybody and like all these activities that you'd have to take them to. That would certainly be a full-time job for sure.
yeah. Well, in like 6 to 8 years, well, maybe more like 10 years to actually have five children for you, or well, for you, I guess it'd be 6 to 8 because you're having one soon. Um,
Right.
in eight
Yeah, it's a
years,
long time.
in 8 years, we might have self-driving cars that you don't
True.
need to have 10
I never
cars.
even thought of that. Did not think of that. I never thought of the timeline because yeah, you're right. It would be like 6 to 8 years it would take to pump those babies out at the fastest.
Yeah. What was
Interesting.
the comedian that was saying that the man's role is so useless? They do what they think about for the like they get to do what they think about since they hit puberty, basically. So it's like they hit puberty. This is all they think about until they actually have children. And the woman's role is so much harder. It's like you're
Yeah.
literally growing a child for almost 10 months. It's
I really, I really think that women were dealt a shit hand. They really were. They like pulled the black card on that one. Like you have a black and white card, they pulled the one that you don't want to pull. It's yeah,
yeah.
big job.
And honestly, it doesn't end after they're born, right? It I don't know if it ever does until maybe once they hit the teen years. That's when, as a dad, especially with girls, that's when as a dad, then maybe you're going to be a lot more of an influence on them, and they'll actually want to hang out with you. My girls do like hanging out with me for sure, but when push comes to shove,
Like, get out
it's
of here, Justin.
it's mommy. Yeah, that's it.
Shouldn't you be in the studio recording some videos or something?
Yeah, yeah.
So you work at home, right?
Yeah, yeah. My studio's in my garage. Believe it or not.
Oh, I see. Okay. It doesn't look like a garage. It looks like, although I haven't seen much of it, I guess. But
No. Well, I have it like fully set up as much as I can as a studio. So if it did look like a garage, I mean, if you look around in here, it certainly looks like a garage. I'll say that much.
so you're showing me the good stuff right now.
Yeah, I'm just showing you. Well, I also have a green screen back here, so if I need to, I just pull that green screen up, and
Mm.
you know.
So how do you find working at home? Like, do you find it's difficult or it's no problem? Like, do you get bothered a lot? I know you talked about the garbage truck issue, and the garbage truck came by, and that was annoying, obviously. But what else? You got anything else to complain about?
How long do you have?
I got a while.
So, well, the I think like the challenge that has happened is I have neighborhood, I've got neighborhood. I'm in a neighborhood, and there's all these kids around, and every once in a while they get really loud, just in the street outside my house, because they're kids. They're running around yelling, have a good time, and
Mm.
that comes up every once in a while. Sometimes I hear my kids yelling, but with how the garage in my place is situated, I don't actually hear them that much unless they come in here, which is nice. And then OBS Studio has a really good noise cancellation feature, so that helps as well. But I
Yeah, nice mic is definitely a good investment. That's for sure.
yeah, and I could probably get a better one. I have a Blue Yeti, but it's
Oh yeah, that's a pretty cheap one then, actually.
this yeah, I can't remember. It's like 180 something like that. I think when I got it.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I thought there were less. Okay.
I think they have actually come down in price, so they might be like 120 now or something. But there are
COVID special.
probably, dude. I can't. My companies are probably crushing it right now. But they
Probably.
have a smaller mic that's like 70 or 80 bucks that I did use when I was traveling a lot. That wasn't
Snowball?
Snowball. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah. I used to have the same one. That thing's a piece of shit.
yeah,
I hate it.
yeah. What kind of mic do you have?
I don't know how you feel. This is a Rode Podcaster. I think they're around 250 to 300. But this thing has been great. I get a lot of compliments on my sound too.
Interesting.
Like a lot of people say like it sounds really good. Could just be my beautiful voice, though. I'm not really
Probably
sure.
that. I'm sure it's that.
I think your sound is good too, though. Like I would say nothing, but I don't hear any static. I don't hear any feedback. I don't hear echo. I hear nothing. So
Yeah, that podcaster. I'll have to check this out. I got it pulled up right now. You're
if you're gonna buy a new mic, you should just buy the one. Yes. Quit fooling around.
get his mic arm too.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, he has a full mixing studio mic, so that would require a few more.
A switchboard or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they're called.
And the thing I like about this is if I have to travel, which I like to, and hopefully, 2021 we'll be able to travel again. Maybe not that soon, but this I can bring with me easily, and it sounds identical. And that's the other thing is I
True.
don't like I used to actually do it with I use my Blue Yeti now with my DSLR videos. I used to use a shotgun mic on my DSLR, but then the sound quality it would go, "Hey, welcome to my course" or whatever, and then you jump into the actual screen recording, and it sounded completely different. Now,
Right.
since I'm not a sound engineer, there's probably ways to fix that in post, and spend a bunch of time trying to fix it.
I don't think so. I don't think there's a way that you'll ever get it like that much better. Like you can improve it, but I don't think so. I played a lot with these post editing things,
Yeah.
these audio tools, and I think it starts with like good mic, and then if you have to I think they're called switchboards, those things, and you
Yeah.
can tone it at the point of input
I
instead after.
Yeah, I think you're right. Switchboard.
Yeah, I do the same thing as you, by the way. I have a DSLR camera, and then I record the audio from OBS on my computer,
Yep.
and then I just slap them on top of each other, and that I think gives the best result.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't used to do that, and man, I have some intro videos that I've watched in the past, and it's like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Um, but I think what we do have the advantage of is that we are teaching something of value that people really want to learn from. So, regardless of how our quality of mic or even how our video looks, um, people are willing to get
Yeah.
past that to get what we're trying to teach them, which I think is amazing about what we do. Whereas podcasting, if I actually want to hit a level of people, the podcasting game really would need to step up. That's why I talk about having a studio, and I never really wanted a
Right.
studio before. I do really enjoy working by myself and just grinding through things. So you were mentioning about working at home. Like I've been working at home now about 8 years, and so like this COVID thing where people are working at home and they're not used to it at all. Um,
Basically.
yeah. I've just been so used to it. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are in that same boat. But my natural personality is that if I did work in an office, I would need to be able to shut the door and shut everybody out, right? For
Right.
a good amount of the time that I'm working, even if I'm not recording. Now, that being said, I did like going to coffee shops every once in a while and putting these headphones on, noise canceling headphones, and just working around people. That is something that I still enjoy too.
Mm.
But something I heard Grant Sorensen, I think his name is, 3 Blue 1 Brown. He was talking about being in an environment where there's a bunch of really smart people, and the things you overhear and the conversations that might come of it just by being in that environment is something that he craves, right? So he
Mm.
had the same sort of question, and or at least that was my interpretation of what he craves. And I started thinking about that, and it's really what pushed me over the edge of doing a podcast in the first place. Is that like we have these platforms that we should use to better ourselves in other ways. And I think a big part of that is connecting with other people who are doing interesting things like yourself. It's like, it's awesome to be able to sit here and chat with you. And like I said, I can't wait until I have a studio to do it. And I've never, ever felt that way before, because I've always looked in the past as podcasts as like, am I really going to sit and chat for hours on end when I could be making a course and actually helping people? But what I've come to realize is when you do this chatting, you start thinking of new things, you get new ideas, and then it's like now your courses are going to be that better for it, or at least that's my intuition right now. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. Sounds like a good idea to me. I definitely get the draw to go and hang out with a bunch of smart people for sure. Because there's just too many things out there. There's not enough time in a day to look up all of the things. So it's very nice to like other people are basically a filter. They act as like because they have these hundreds or thousands of hours that they've put into the thing that they do, and they filter out the shit and they know what's good or what's cool. And then you talk to them for 5 minutes, instantly you know what's good and what's cool. You've almost like absorbed all of their mistakes, and you know what route to go down immediately. So it's a big time saver. It can be anyway.
Yeah, and I think I heard, maybe you've heard this too. Elon Musk literally tries to hire the best people he possibly can in any given area so he can learn from them. So it's almost
Mm,
like yeah, they're doing the work and stuff like that, but he literally then is like, "Oh, I want to learn everything about rockets." Obviously, he's the chief engineer at SpaceX. A lot of people don't know that. Like he
mm,
is literally the guy who makes all of the final decisions on the rocket. He didn't study rocket science in college, right? He got this
mm.
from picking up textbooks and learning from the people he hired because he's at a status point where he can do that. And to me, that's like, wow, that's amazing. So anything that you want to learn, how do you shortcut it? And a good way to do that is by hopefully talking to the right people and with an open mind and trying to learn from them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's also what we do, right? Like that's my job, that's your job. We go out and we play around with all the things,
Yeah.
and then we figure out which route is worth pursuing, and then show them how to pursue that route. Because like when I'm developing a course, I don't know about you, but I go down all kinds of wrong pathways,
Yep.
and then you realize,
Yep.
yep, don't go down that pathway.
Yep.
That leads to a bad place. You don't want to know about. You don't want to know about that place. So you save time, really. it's a time save. We're time savers. That is our job.
Totally. Absolutely. So here's my question for you. If you couldn't do software as a job anymore, let's say you could still know it, you could still use it in your job in some form. But if you couldn't teach classes anymore, what area are you interested that you would spend time going? Let's just assume that you're not strapped on money or anything like that. Let's assume that you're like, you can't teach any courses anymore and you now have to go down an area that you are interested in.
Okay. So everything's the same, other than suddenly I've developed a phobia of camera and talking on the mic or something, and I have to like not do YouTube.
No, or you were canceled, like,
Or I was canceled. Okay,
let's say
fine.
you're canceled
Yeah, sure.
as a teacher. Somebody's like,
Mitch is a racist and a Nazi and a piece of shit, and you can't make stuff anymore.
wow, you went to dark places. I was thinking more along the lines of
Isn't that how you get canceled?
Mitch
I don't
Mitch
know.
copies and pastes code, and so don't buy his classes. I was thinking more along those lines,
Oh.
but
I don't know. That's just stupid. I'm like,
we're talking
that's like, dude, wasn't that guy? What's his name? Siraj. I don't know what his last name. Wasn't there like a big thing about him where he was like just stealing people's stuff and then making like literally stealing their code and like leaving. You'd see because he has like the same comments and everything, and then he'd like. Wasn't that a thing? I thought that was a thing. I might be just throwing this guy under the bus without knowing what.
no, it was a thing. So what Siraj did, and yes, so I saw it kind of unfolding because AI and deep learning is like a space that I'm really
Yeah, it was
interested in.
AI stuff. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so Siraj was really working hard on gaming the YouTube algorithm, and totally understand that from a content creator's perspective. Like, how do we actually,
Reach people.
reach people? Yeah. How would you and I quadruple our subscriber base, or get to 1 million or whatever it ends up being, right? So he was very much in that game, and unfortunately, he dabbled a lot in all kinds of software that he just didn't know that well, and would do 20-30 minute videos on them, maybe even 5-minute videos on them, that were very clickbaity, and he had a lot of energy and all this stuff. So really, he was more of a performer that was discussing a lot of this stuff. He wasn't like an AI expert, like somebody like Jeremy Howard or many other teachers that are actually experts in it. And I would imagine he would cop to that, like, that he wasn't fully the expert. He just knew a lot of surface level things that could make pretty good clickbaity titles, and he'd go through the code. But unfortunately, what he didn't do was give attribution to where he got the code from, where he was reading the research papers from. He didn't give any attribution for that at all. And he also then, I think it was something along the lines, he had a course that he released that was like $200. He said, I think,
When I heard about it, he had a big course and it was dog shit, and then he wouldn't refund people's money or something, and
something along the lines. Hopefully, it got resolved. But I think the production issues that we discussed that happened live, it sounds like that the course, I didn't buy it. I have no dog in this fight. I'm just trying to repeat essentially what I understand of the situation. And I think the refunding thing was one. The other part was the production issues in the course itself. It was like just really cobbled together, because he got a lot of demand for it. I think he had like 500,000 or 600,000 subscribers and was getting millions of views for some of his videos.
right.
And so he got a lot of traction and traffic. And I do think that, I mean, a lot of people knew who he was in the ML space. So there was a number of people that interviewed him that probably wouldn't interview him again. And it was just a really unfortunate thing to see, because he could have been very forthcoming about this of, hey, this is where I got the code from. This is where I learned this method or whatever. And then none of that would have happened. I mean, the refunding thing probably still could have happened, of course, but I don't think the fallout would have been nearly as bad for him.
Right.
Who knows where he is now, but, yeah, let's say that happened to you. What, and you couldn't do Java and Python.
back to the question.
Back to the
Back to the
question.
question.
What's happening? What would you do then?
Wait. So I couldn't do Java and Python, and
You could actually
uh,
code still, but you're like coding with Mitch
it was
is
off.
done. Nobody's
Right.
buying courses anymore. YouTube shut out your account. You can't open on Twitch. Whatever
I
it
would
is.
I would either I would either think what I would probably do first is I would go on a vacation and I would try and figure out I would try and really very, very deeply think very hard about what kind of a product I could make that I think would be successful. And if I could think of something that I think could work, then I would pursue that. That would be the thing. If I couldn't think of something after that period of time, I couldn't think of something that was worth pursuing and building, then I would probably look for a job at a what I would think is a good company. And the companies that I like, just off the top of my head, companies like Square, they look like a great company to work for. I know a couple of people that work there, and just like the way they do things seems like that's a place that you'd want to work. I don't think I would ever go for like a job at Google, Amazon, those kind of places because I don't know. I haven't heard good things about those places, and I don't know. Just although the money is excellent, it sounds like, but yeah, it just doesn't sound like. I don't know. I personally find it very, very hard. Not saying anybody else doesn't find this hard to go and do something that you don't like doing, or go and work on a code base that you don't like, or go and work on some product that you don't like. Just I don't know, I find it very, very difficult to do, very difficult to motivate myself. So I would try and find something, even if it was less money, just that I thought, like, I really believed in the product. I thought it was a cool product. I had lots of responsibility, because obviously my first choice would be make a company myself and do that. But if I couldn't, then I would want to, yeah, pursue something that was a good idea, have lots of responsibility, and yeah, I go down that route probably.
Yeah, makes sense.
What
So
about you?
definitely something in the software space, though. Not
Oh yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. Software. Oh yeah. So not software. What would I do? I don't know. Well, actually, something that I've talked to my brother about before. He's a civil engineer, and he kind of found this weird little niche. So I'll give you a little bit of a story.
Sure.
So he's a civil engineer. My dad has a small construction company, and a lot of the work that he's done, my dad, has been septic fields. I don't know if they put in septic fields in California where you live. Have you ever heard of them before? No. So where I live, the ground is like ideal for septic, and we have a lot of like farm and like suburbs, and a lot of these places aren't connected to city water, or aren't connected to city sewer, so they have a septic field. And what a septic field is basically a big tank underground where all of your septic goes, and then it's an underground
Yeah,
construct basically, and it bleeds the shit into the ground, but in a good way. Like
literally.
it filters, like it's in a yeah, literally bleeds the shit into the ground. There's these pipes that go out, and it filters. Like it's not a bad thing. It's actually good for the
So this
environment.
is instead of using a septic tank that they clean out, or
It goes into a tank, and then it goes into a distribution. They call it a D box. It goes into a D box, and then from the D box, it goes in like a bunch of 50, usually 50-foot lines, and there's just pipe, and they have holes in the bottom, and it bleeds into like either sand or rock or whatever you build this field out of. There's different types.
whoa. So when people have septic tanks anywhere, does it
Yeah.
do this system
Yes.
or no?
Not. It doesn't have to be. A septic field isn't necessarily having a septic tank. A septic tank could be like you fill it up and pump it out, but I don't think that's common. It's either like you are hooked up to city, or you have a septic field which bleeds your septic into the ground, into your yard, pretty much underground.
Got it. Got it. And those can overflow too, right?
They can, but usually like if you do it right, it lasts 25, 30, 40 years even without touching it. You might have to pump it out, a few times. It's not common for that. So that's what he has done. Like a lot of his construction work is done my dad, and there's this weird little niche that now septic fields, they probably used to have to be engineered, but my dad didn't used to get them engineered. He would just put them in. But now it's like you have to get them engineered. You have to get an engineer who has a special set of skills. They've gone to a course, a septic course, and they have to design the septic field, sign off on it, and then they give it to the guy who's going to build it, and then the guy can build it. It's this weird little niche, and that makes a lot of money. Like
Sure.
the amount of work that you put in for the what you build, it doesn't take a lot of time, and you can get a lot of money for it, and almost nobody is doing it. So anyway, my brother has that, he's a civil engineer, so he took the course, and he designs septic fields as like a side job now. He works full time as a civil engineer, but he also designs septic fields as a side job, and he makes good money. And I've thought about it. I know how to run excavators and construction equipment, so I've thought about it. I was like, oh, if I ever got sick of like sitting on a computer all day, I could just like start a company with my brother, and he could design the fields and I could put them in, and that would be a thing, and that would be perfectly fine. I would make a good living, and that would be an acceptable way to go about life.
That's cool. I had no idea. Interesting. I mean, it makes sense. Like, would it be at a farm though? Like, would you actually grow food in these septic
It doesn't have
fields?
to be a farm. No, no, you just like a suburb, like a house with a 9,000 square foot lot,
Yeah.
or they can put a septic in the back.
Would you actually grow fields or food on top of that
No,
though?
no, well, most people just have a yard. It's just like a backyard, like a classic backyard with grass, and you would not know a septic field is under there.
Sure, but I guess what I'm asking is like, would you never grow food about that? Like, would you
No,
want it
no,
to?
you can.
Okay, got it.
You can. It's good. It's actually like usually septic fields though are very close to the surface, so you can't really go too deep. But I think like there wouldn't be any hazard.
Yeah,
It
got it.
would just it would be like a well fertilized soil. It's actually really funny. If you ever go to like a house that has like a really big yard and they have a septic field and it's like in the middle of like summer, so it's dry. Where I live, it gets very dry in the summer. Like it'll rain 5 times in 3 months, so not a lot of rain.
Yeah.
And so the only grass that like stays green is the stuff that's above the septic field. It's hilarious. Like everything else is brown, and then you're like, oh, you have a septic field, okay, because it's green there.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Where do you
Yeah, it's
where are
fun.
you again?
West coast of Canada, near Vancouver. I'm about 45 minutes away from Vancouver.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I think you
Mm,
told me that last time we chat, but Vancouver's
mm.
beautiful, man. I really, really like it there.
Yeah, it's a nice place to live for sure. I don't know if I live anywhere else. California seems nice, but it also seems like the U.S. is a scary place right now. So I don't know if I'd want to go down there.
I enjoy California, but it's where I'm from, so it probably makes a difference. I think I think there's certain trade-offs that you get here. So you're talking about a 9,000 square foot plot of
Lot
land.
for a
Um,
Yeah, that's pretty common for a suburb.
yeah, in Orange County, that is not common. That's like that's a pretty big plot of land. Orange County is
But
where I'm in Southern California, so suburb of Los Angeles. Um, but you might be able to find those plots of land in some places, but it's expensive. It's not cheap. I think that's one of the biggest downsides of California is that it is so expensive to be here. And
mm,
with this remote work and all this stuff, it's like for me it was about family, right? So I've been able to work anywhere, but we're near a bunch of family here. But if I were to live anywhere else, like it would be where's a less expensive place that still has a lot of things that we really like. Um,
mm.
it's just like I'm sure you've heard California is expensive.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I've heard it's very
Yeah,
expensive. Yeah,
but Vancouver's beautiful. I really,
Vancouver's expensive too.
yeah.
I live kind of away from the city, but Vancouver, like if you want to buy like a just a standard probably one bedroom apartment in Vancouver, like probably 500, 600, 700 square feet, not big. I don't know. You're probably looking at $600,000.
Wow. There it goes again. Skype. Gotta love Skype with the freezing. Um, yeah, I think you said $600,000 for it. Yeah, it looks like Mitch is still a little bit frozen here. Um, having a good conversation so far. You guys have some questions for us. Let's see here. I'm gonna load up some questions so we can discuss those things. Maybe we'll get Mitch back here. Let me get him back here. So anyone looking into no code? Yeah, no code is a interesting thing. There we go. There we go. I think we might have Mitch back here. Really, really good. Thanks for dealing with that, everyone. Can't wait to have that studio. I got to figure out how to do it. Maybe it's sponsors. I don't know. Like, do you need
I
just
would
need
I
to?
would love I would love to come to California. Like there's a lot of people there. Like I'd like to visit John Sonmez. I don't know, where do you live in California? Like what, Orange County, I think you said?
Yeah, Orange County, so south of Los Angeles, um,
Okay.
like not far from Newport Beach. I used to live in Newport Beach. It's just inland from there.
Is that where all the rich people live?
Newport and Laguna. I mean, beach cities in general. They're usually got quite a few rich people.
Couple bucks.
Couple bucks, yeah. I mean, which is crazy to think that pretty much on the entire coast of California, there are probably exceptions to this, but on the entire coast, I would be surprised if you could find a house for less than 1.5 million.
That's very, yeah, that's expensive.
I mean, maybe if it's a little dinky thing, but then you'll also find houses that are, 5, 6 to $20 million. It's crazy. So
Did you hear what I said about the apartments in Vancouver?
yeah, so you stopped at about 600,000. Is that what you said?
Yeah, yeah. So like an average run of the mill, like one bedroom, 600 square feet, 700 square feet, could be 600,000. Higher.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very very expensive there too. Houses in Vancouver would be similar to what you're describing for California, like million and a half for like old little house.
yeah,
Yeah. But then you get away from Vancouver, it's a little better, but still quite expensive. Like 2,500 square foot house in Abbotsford, where I live, 3,000 square foot house. Those are probably they're around $1 million too. But usually they have a suite in the bottom, so like you could rent it out or buy it with a family member or something. So
got it. Yeah,
mm,
yeah. I mean,
expensive.
yeah, that's one of the I guess advantages of being in the tech industry. Things become relatively less expensive then, depending on how you're doing, of course. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think we'll see a change though, because with everyone going remote, I would imagine at least in North America, well, in Canada and the United States, we'll probably see a lot more people moving outside of like even suburbs, but even further into the country or just completely different states altogether or provinces.
Yeah.
And you've got more potential there. I mean, like I think it would be amazing to have like a legitimate farm size property, not a huge farm, a small one, not necessarily actually run a farm, but that size property with a good size house and a recording studio and
That's the dream.
that'd be so cool.
You just described my dream.
Is that right? That's funny.
Yeah, oh yeah. Sure. Yeah, it's always been I grew up like on a farm. My grandparents have a large farm. It's 26 acres.
Whoa.
And I spent like, most of my childhood there with all of my cousins and brother and stuff. It was always my plan to buy that. That was always like my goal. So that's what I'm trying to do. My grandparents are old. They're 86, 87. So I don't know how much longer they're going to last, but hopefully me, my brother, and my dad want to try and buy it. So it'll take three of us. That's how much it appreciated. I mean, they've lived there for 40, 50 years. So he probably paid, I don't know, 100,000 for it or something. And now it's worth, I don't know, $3 million, something like that.
Is it a functioning farm still or no?
There's no farm. There's like a barn, and it's nice, like it's well kept.
There we go. Skype all over again. Skype. I'm going to have to try something new. Do you guys know of another way to do NDI so I can use OBS with these broadcasts? That is something I absolutely want to do. Mitch. Oh, cool. I saw your nice comment there. That's funny. But I need to find something that's like NDI. Skype, I don't know. Maybe it's something with my internet. Maybe it's your internet. Who knows what it is? But
I've always had this with Skype. I used to use Skype like back in the day when I play games. My friends and I would all sit on Skype, and it was the same stuff. It was always cutting out, and I don't know. I wish Discord built something because Discord is such a great product. I wish they had some kind of a live streaming thing. Like you can stream on Discord and you people in the channel can watch. It's super easy and awesome and high quality. But I don't know if they have like a YouTube thing, like some kind of a YouTube plugin. Because if they did, I would buy it because Discord is awesome. Great piece of software.
All they need is an NDI support. I'm telling you. And it looks like a bunch of people are asking for this because that gives you a live stream. So NDI means network or networked device interface. So if you have NDI, then OBS we can have hundreds of broadcasts going on with different camera angles and all that. So hopefully they do. We'll see. But if anyone finds a really good solution for NDI support, please let me know. I would absolutely love to make this better until I actually get that barn with a studio in it,
That's my dream too. Honestly, like you described I want to buy the farm, live there. I need to have I kind of I bought this apartment and it's 400 square feet. And so I just come here to work. And this I like too. I think this is pretty great. I get away from the house, which is awesome. So I don't know if I would put a studio on the property where I live. After doing this, I really like it. It's like I come to a place and I'm off the grid. Like
Got it.
Nobody. Yeah, like when I worked at home, it was not ideal. I mean, I'm sure like when you're in the weeds trying to figure something out, and the analogy I use is you build this like scaffold in your brain as you're like trying to put these pieces together. And as soon as somebody comes in with even the smallest little like anything, it collapses. And then you're like, you answer the question that took 3 seconds, and then you come back and you're like, the fuck was I doing? and then like so you have to reset, to rebuild the scaffold, and it's very annoying. So having somewhere that you're off the grid, I think I don't know. I think it's ideal anyway.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I think one of the things I think about with working at home too is to show my kids that you can work really hard and still have a great family life.
Oh yeah.
And like, when I was a kid, my parents are separated and have been since I was young. So they would be off at work and I'd have no idea, you don't really know what it is they're doing. Maybe that would be different now anyway, because of Skype, FaceTime, Discord, all of these different ways of staying in touch.
Right.
But I think I just had this big disconnect of what does hard work actually look like, and are my parents even doing it? I think they were. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
they probably were.
They probably were.
But yeah.
But
I see that. Yeah, you want to see it, and you didn't see it.
Yeah. Well, regardless of what I got, I want my kids to see it, and to understand that you can work hard on something that you enjoy doing, and it's incredibly rewarding, and you don't have to have the same path as everybody else, kind of thing. And I think what better way to do that when they're young than to see me actually doing it. And also
see daddy working at home.
Yeah. Or hopefully whenever I get a studio, in the studio, and then when they get old enough, actually have them help me, like why not?
Like your little crew, your little filming crew.
Yeah, dude. When I bring my oldest daughter in here, she really likes the setup because there's lights and all this stuff. And when the green screen's up, she's just I'm working, and I've got a Jarvis desk, so she can stand or even sit when I get it to the lowest level, and she can act like she's working too. And
oh, look, I'm working.
Yeah, exactly. But I also the thing with like having an office and stuff like that, I don't know. I do think about that with what you said. I think there is a lot of value to being able to just you just separate yourself for a minute or two. I mean, a few hours, and you're just separated from everything except for what you're working on. There is definitely a lot of value in that, and I do understand that. So for me, when I do get a studio, it's going to be, I'll be able to shut the doors and turn on a light, like a recording light, just like a studio.
Oh, right. Turn on the recording light.
And just be like, hey,
Don't
Yeah,
bother.
I'm busy right now. And I mean, that's for friends. It's not just my family. Like I would much rather my
Right.
family bother me than pretty much anyone else. That is my wife and my daughters, but not all my family. Please don't bother me, please. uh,
Please don't come knocking on the garage. Please.
yeah. But I mean, kidding aside, I think having a space to work and work hard is really, really important for all of us. And it's going to be interesting to see what this remote thing does to our living, but then also what self-driving cars do to the way we work. So even if offices come back and we have self-driving cars, um, presumably we have those in the next decade or less. What is that going to do with the office environment? Do you literally have an RV or a tiny house that's driving you around and you're just constantly on the move and you're actually working in there? Or do you have that come to you and it just sits in a parking spot and then when you're done, it just goes somewhere else and charges for the night or whatever it needs to do, or use somebody else's uses that studio?
Yeah,
You
I
know
don't
what I
know.
mean? Like,
Yeah, there are lots of cool things on the horizon for
yeah,
sure. Even like just as simple as people commuting to work. If you're taking a self-driving car, or the company buys a bunch of self-driving cars, or yeah, like my brother's company he works for, they give him a company truck. They pay for the truck, they pay for the gas, pay for the
yeah,
insurance, and that's his vehicle. So if they did that with a self-driving vehicle, you could probably clock into work when you enter the
yep,
vehicle, and you could be working.
yep.
And so like if you have an hour commute both ways, you only got to be at work for 5 hours or 5.5 hours because you worked on the drive and you worked home.
Yeah. I think what I've seen a lot with 2020 is people saying that they have all this time to work on their free projects, these or free time to work on projects because they're not commuting anymore. So
Mm.
you take an hour, 2 hours out of their day. Now you're like, oh, maybe I could write that newsletter or something like that. To me, that's been a huge, huge time saver and advantage to working at home for all these years, is I can do all sorts of things that I wouldn't be able to do even if I had a 10-minute, 20-minute commute. It's a long time.
Yeah, commuting is the worst. I hate driving. I mean, I don't hate driving. Like, it's not like I'm afraid of driving or anything.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the issue. It's just like the time you spend in a car is like the worst. It's just you burn time. I don't know how some people do it. Like, you drive an hour, or some people 2 hours to work every day. That's like the amount of time that you lose in your life is insane. The amount of time you could spend building something with that time is just like, I think that's insanity. But
A,
I don't
a
know.
lot of people, it's podcasts, right? Listening to
Yeah, I guess that's how you
podcasts.
get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a friend. He's like, I got my daily podcast listen to work and back, and sometimes it's just the Joe Rogan podcast, and it's because it's three
Burn
hours.
through a Joe Rogan
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not going to change, I think, right? So it's things that we find really interesting we can listen to at any time when we're
Mm.
walking to the gym or at the gym or just going for a walk or doing laundry or
Yeah. I
whatever.
usually do walking my dogs. That's the go-to for
Oh, there you
me.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that was something that I feel like happened when we chatted on your channel. I think it was on your channel, right? We could hear the dogs every once in a while. So the dogs are not where you are.
No, they stay home.
Got it.
Yeah. Or like, so my wife's a nurse, so she does shift
Yep.
work. So she probably, well, I mean, now she's working 3, 4 days a week, but she'll usually work like 2 days and then 2 nights. So if she does the nights, obviously it's fine because she's home. So only when she works day shifts, then I have to take the dogs to her mom's place, and the dogs stay there for the day.
Yeah.
And it's on my way to work, so it's no big
Got it.
deal. It's on my way to the apartment, so that's what we do.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Um, so you said your parents' place. So your parents are gonna be your babies.
Her
Her
parents' place.
parents, are they gonna be the
Yeah.
babysitters too?
I don't know. I mean, we're gonna play it by ear. I don't know how it's gonna be. She's gonna be off work for like, a year and a half or something.
Cool.
And if she gets pregnant again, then she's gonna be off again. So I don't know. See how that goes. But we have like tons of family around here, and her mom would want nothing more than to look after my kids. So that I think that would complete her life.
That's like
So we have lots.
that's like my mother-in-law. So
Yeah. Yes, so if they want to look after and I get to go to work, then that's fine. I like to work, so I like to build things. Like I said, even if I was rich probably and I didn't have to work, I would probably do something similar to what I'm doing now, just because I like to play around with technologies and build stuff and just mess around.
Yeah, something that you might want to check out is Kubernetes and Docker, and
Mm,
specifically Kubernetes on the edge. Let me just
mm,
grab something. One second.
sure.
So, guys over at Turing Pi sent me this.
Oh, what is this?
So these are all Raspberry Pis. They're compute modules.
Uh,
So if you know what a Raspberry Pi is, it essentially
yeah.
removes all the things that are normally on a Raspberry Pi, and then the Turing Pi, which is the other part of the board, that actually clusters all of these together, and you can use Kubernetes to on bare metal. So you're running each one of these would have its own instance of basically it'd be like a network node, if you will. Since I'm trying to make it as simple as possible for the Kubernetes part, but basically Kubernetes controls all of these Raspberry Pi compute modules, and they treat them with a really excuse me, like application network. It's amazing, and it's just orchestrating a bunch of Docker containers, which really isolates a lot of the code for any given running application.
So what kind of stuff do you build?
I actually haven't spent a whole lot of time building things specifically for this because I got this a couple months ago, and then Turing Pi 2 is coming out. So I talked with the team. I'm actually going to be doing more stuff with them, hopefully.
Oh, like they sent that to you so that you can play with it?
Yeah. Because like
Oh,
Docker
cool.
and Kubernetes are something I'm really, really interested in.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm bringing this up is because the coolest part about this is you can essentially have your own cloud service for $600, $700, bare
Mm,
metal cloud service. So this is not going to take over AWS, for sure not. But there's a bunch of compute here, and with Turing Pi 2 and the Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4, you're going to have like quite a powerhouse of a server at your house, at your wherever you want it. And if your internet goes down, your networking won't necessarily go down. So you can set up all sorts of applications and stuff like that. So it's really really fascinating. And if I would imagine you're familiar with Chick-fil-A, they actually have their own network. It doesn't use Turing Pi, but their own network of Kubernetes clusters that run all these Docker containers at all of their stores. So every single one of their stores has essentially the same thing I just showed you,
mm,
not exactly the same hardware, but and that actually runs their stores because internet fails. Obviously something you got to worry about with your Java and Android applications. But the internet fails, but they still need everything to work smoothly, and
right.
Kubernetes is a critical piece of that. And I just I find that incredibly fascinating. So if
That
you're
does sound really cool.
if you're looking for
It's
the next technology to learn, Docker and Kubernetes might be the thing for you.
That sounds super cool. Yeah, I've thought about like just for like other entrepreneurial avenues. I've also thought about like going into small businesses and just being like, "Hey, do you need like check in or like a checkout system? Like do you need you to scan in your inventory, to sell things, to keep all everything they need, like a software solution
Yeah,
that they would need. But yeah, like you said, a limitation to that is if something goes wrong, they lose everything because it's on a network. They can't do anything. But if you had something locally um, on its own network, then at least at each individual store, until the network came back on, you could build it such that it caches any transactions or whatever happens. Network comes back on, boom, syncs back to the network, and you're all good. Like nothing happened.
to the cloud network. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one of the cool things about this too, what we will see for sure, is AI enabled GPUs that will connect to this as well. So you'll have a incredibly robust network that also has AI capabilities for training models and all that stuff at the edge. So you don't have to have internet at all, which is really really fascinating to think where that could go. And also with your experience with building Android applications, what you're saying about businesses, you could then also create the front end application that they would actually use that then connects with all this logic in the back end. Inventory management is definitely one that I think is really cool, but also quality control at manufacturing facilities. So a lot of these manufacturers, they have some sort of AI level in there, but it's probably not cutting edge, and it's probably not specific to what they're doing, especially medium-sized businesses that don't have the budget to spend.
What kind of stuff, like specifically like quality control? What would happen with these places? What are they doing to quality control?
Let's make
what
it,
does the software do?
Sure, let's make it more like a pizza place, just so it's well understood. Okay. I could try and give an example of like a camera manufacturing facility, but I don't really actually know what the quality control would be specifically, other than a bunch of things that I assume about. Pizza place, I worked on a pizza place, so I definitely know what the quality control is there.
Okay.
So when a pizza comes out of the oven, it's going to be, let's give it a rating of 1. It should be remade, but it's not necessarily going to be. So let's say a 1 is it should be remade. 5 is this is the best pizza that I'd want, right? Best, hands down, best pizza. How do you actually measure that objectively? Well, because obviously that's going to be incredibly subjective to whoever's doing the measuring. But let's say, for instance, the business owner is the one who does it for every pizza that comes out of the oven, right? For the next few months, they take a bunch of pictures. Every single pizza, they rate it between 1 and 5. And if it's a 1, the system should be flagged that it should be remade. If it's 5, obviously that's a great one. We want to brag about it, whatever. We can tweet that one automatically or something like that, right? So how do you actually build a system like that? Well, all you would actually have to do, and realistically, all you'd have to do is get the owner operator or whoever's doing the expert level rating. You just have them put different pictures into folders on their computer. They could do that right now. So you could do that with any sort of quality assurance product. And they probably already do this to some degree, except for maybe labeling it, right? So they probably already have trained people looking at any given device, looking for common defects, and then they put it in one of those buckets, right? So 1 to 5, 1 to 10, or true or false, whatever it ends up being. But if you actually start doing those buckets, then you can just train a image classifier, a machine learning image classifier, which is getting really, really easy to do. That classifier would literally take the image and guess, should it be a 1 or a 5 or somewhere in between.
Based on all of these pictures.
Based on all these pictures before. That these experts have done. And I say expert, I mean the person who everyone on the team designates, they know the QA stuff the best. I don't mean it has to be the owner. It definitely should not be the software developer, right? Especially for like pizza, because they won't know it in and out like somebody else. And what really rang true to me was I listened to this podcast with the founder of Papa John's. He goes by Papa John. He was talking about this rating system that they had. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is like a perfect thing for an AI to do, to basically take Papa John's vision for what a 1 is, what a 2 is, what a 3 is, and so on. And
was it the H3 podcast?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I watched their podcast too.
Oh yeah.
I love them.
Yeah. I love them too, but I don't watch nearly as much as I probably could. But that one really, I watched the whole thing because of all the controversy with Papa.
But with Papa John.
Yeah. Did you see the podcast too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched that one.
Okay.
I don't watch all of them either, but like, I don't know. I probably watch one in every 15 or something. So
yeah,
I'm a fan. I'm definitely an H3 fan for sure.
Sure. Yeah. They're great. And it's like another good example of like, dude, you and I have been talking almost 2 hours, and we could do this several times a week, probably. Like, maybe not actually do it several times a week, but we probably could, in the sense that we have a lot to talk about. You know what I mean?
I'm feeling very little effort being put in over here. I'm just sort of talking. Just my mouth is just moving.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is part of the reason I like podcasts too, because even if it's just for you and I, we're getting something out of it. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully you
are. It's true. Yeah. Like I do a podcast too. I think I've only got, I don't know, 10 or between 10 and 20 episodes. I actually don't know. But yeah, all the people that I have on there are great because if I say, hey, do you want to come on the podcast? They see how many subscribers I have and they go, wow, yeah. And like, it's great because I get to learn about like their cool job and get to know this like badass person. And it's cool. Yeah.
You'll have to
Leverage your YouTube channel.
totally. You'll have to introduce me to some of them. Cause
Yeah.
I have a lot of people I want to talk to, but you know, like I don't know of all of the interesting people. I need to find other interesting people to tell me about all of these other interesting people. You know what I mean?
I usually just browse around on Twitter, honestly. I like anytime somebody says something funny or some I don't know, for whatever reason I end up clicking their profile on Twitter
Okay.
and then I look at them and I'm like, "Oh, you look like kind of a badass." And then I like go down the rabbit hole for 5 minutes while I'm taking a poop in the morning and then I send them a message.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. So anyways, going back to that pizza thing, Papa John, had this rating scale and immediately my ML, machine learning AI brain is going, oh my gosh, like the pizza place that I go to could totally do this. It would be probably amazing for them. But that's totally true about anyone that has a product that comes out, even if the scale isn't great yet, right? Even if the 1 to 5, even if they don't have that perfect yet, even if it's 1 to 3 or binary true or false, is this good or bad? It doesn't really matter. But that whole system right now, if you want to do it well, you'll most likely have to put it on AWS or Google Cloud or
Firebase has a product.
or Firebase. Yeah. So there's a lot of places you can do it in the cloud, but doing it not in the cloud, that becomes another issue, which is fairly challenging because of memory constraints and stuff like that. But Turing Pi 2, I think with the Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4, I think we're going to be able to get enough memory on those devices to where this thing is going to be able to be a powerhouse, I guess.
Like, what are the specs of these things?
Yeah, so the Compute Module 4, I think can have 8 gigabytes of RAM now, which you cluster 4 of them, you now have 32 gigabytes of RAM. I believe that's what the Turing Pi 2 is going to have. And that will cost probably $600-700, maybe $800. For comparison, my MacBook Pro has 32 gigabytes of RAM and like a terabyte hard drive. Am I losing you? Dang. Skype. Man, we just were really getting going. I think it's whenever you move, Mitch, if you're hearing me right now. Like you move your body and Skype is like, similar to constipation. Are you back? You're back. That's hilarious. So anyways, where did I lose you? The 32 gigabytes on
Yeah, you 8 gigs each and you can put 5 on the deck or something.
I think 4. So 32 gigs. And then my MacBook Pro, is like $3,200, 32 gigs. So to add a terabyte hard drive, an SSD, and the Turing Pi might be another $100 or $200. You wouldn't need a terabyte though. You just need something that is big enough to analyze these images. You put a webcam on it, that probably would work fine. Or you build an Android application and have it connected in the network. Like something like that would be, from a hardware perspective, would cost, maybe $2,000, maybe $3,000 at the most, right? Unless you're starting to use a 4K DSLR or something like that.
So then why wouldn't you just use a computer? Why wouldn't you use a PC?
Oh yeah. So the challenge though is when the services go down. So what Kubernetes does when it's managing Docker is if any of the services die, Docker automatically, or Kubernetes automatically heals that Docker instance and just reboots it automatically, right? So you could do that on a computer as well. It's just a lot harder to manage that interaction, and also
like it's built for the Pi, is what you're saying.
Kubernetes is built for the cloud.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's about managing cloud infrastructure and more specifically Docker containers, which is essentially a virtualized operating system, so an isolated operating system. but it's a lot smaller, or can be a lot smaller than a standard operating system. So you can have thousands of Docker containers running on a Kubernetes cluster, and each one of those Docker containers can have a different kind of application running. So a good example of this, you could have 1,000 different kinds of Django projects in theory. This might be beyond what the device that I mentioned can do, but you could have 1,000 different Django projects next to 500, Node.js projects, and all of them can interact with each other on that same network and have no internet connection whatsoever.
But why? Like, why couldn't you do that with a PC? What is the upside of using the Pi?
So it's the Raspberry Pi. You can actually flash it to any Linux distribution that you want, and it's incredibly inexpensive. So a 8 gig.
So it's cost is the punchline.
Cost, reliability. You can network PCs. Absolutely. You could probably get a whole Docker container situation going. But the complexity of creating a cluster with Windows computers is quite a bit more complex than just doing it with Docker container.
Well, you could do Linux computers too, couldn't you?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
A bunch of Linux PCs.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what it is. A Raspberry Pi is just a small little Linux machine.
Linux computer, yeah. Right.
So you can absolutely use any kind of computer, absolutely, and do the same thing in a cluster. But the reason that you would use specifically the Turing Pi is it's like plug and play. This is a plug and play cluster. If you look at a Raspberry Pi cluster without a Turing Pi, like getting the standard Raspberry Pi model, it's a lot more cumbersome. There's a lot of network or Ethernet cords and a network switch and all that.
Oh yeah, I see. Okay, so what you have there on that board is basically like you've taken each one of those little things there. Those are 7 of them.
7 of them, yeah.
Each one of those is like a little computer.
Each one is a computer. Yes, it has its own processor, own RAM.
So I guess much simpler, yeah. Because opposed to having a bunch of PCs, you'd have to buy. Yeah, it'd be much more bulky for sure.
And you'd also need network switches. So this one doesn't have a network switch. That's what the board's for. Right. So
more complexity, larger. Yeah. Okay. More expensive.
Probably more expensive to run too. The power consumption is probably a lot higher. Probably gets a lot hotter. There's a lot of reasons to do it on the operations side. But my point is that building one of these clusters specifically for Kubernetes is you can build a very, very performant network that uses all the modern cloud technology without having to be piped into the cloud, right? So you can kind of make your own micro AWS just in your backyard with Kubernetes or in your garage or whatever,
Sounds very cool. I'm very interested.
So I just tweeted out a talk from the Chick-fil-A people. Watch that talk. I think there's some things that will probably be not that obvious. Maybe with what we talked about, it will be, but it's a really good talk. Just these 2 guys from Chick-fil-A that run it. I think it's from 2018. So their technology has definitely improved since. But as far as like adding the mobile application development or the user interface to something like this, I think there's something there as well. But even just as a course. So for me, it's going to be a course at some point where it is doing the Kubernetes side, the cluster side with the Turing Pi, and trying to build a performant security network for my house, especially when I get to that farm, whenever that ends up happening with that studio. I want to have a really performant security system that's built in with AI and all these things. But also maybe my studio will be driven through AI as well, and that might need another Turing Pi as too. So
sounds cool. Sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Like you should build like a course that you show everybody someone how to build this, and then build like a storefront, like inventory management. Inventory comes in, you scan it in, inventory sells, you get money. It's got like a little scanner attached to it.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
That's an interesting. Cool. That's a really interesting idea. that might be a massive undertaking.
Oh
I
yeah,
might need you
I'm
for
sure it
the
would be.
user interface stuff, and we'll just do it in Flutter or something like that.
Yeah, Flutter does look pretty cool. I definitely want to explore Flutter. Right now I'm torn actually between like what my next course is going to be. I'm really seriously thinking about starting with some iOS development, but then I don't know. I might just do Flutter. I don't know,
Ask your
or I might do nothing at all. I don't know.
ask your customers.
My customers, most people will probably say stay with native Android because that's where I belong. So I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
but if you say, "Hey, I'm really interested in this Flutter thing," or whatever, they might be like, "Oh, that sounds amazing," and then that just reassures you. I do that from time to time, but you're right. I mean, a lot of times my customers or students will say, "Just make more Django stuff. Can you make a Django
Yeah,
blog?" Dude, I've done
yeah.
that so many times.
No, no, I can't.
Yeah. Cool, man.
I should probably go. Actually, it's getting late here. I should go home.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for chatting. We didn't get to no
Yeah.
code. I would have loved to chat with you about that, but maybe next
What is
time.
it?
No code.
It's like an online IDE or something.
Oh no.
I
So
don't know what that is.
yeah. So think of it as integrating APIs without writing code because somebody else wrote the code to make it easy to integrate said APIs. So if you've ever
Hmm.
used Zapier or Zapier, have you ever used that service?
No.
No. Okay, so a good example of no code in this case would be you have a form from Wufoo or Google Forms, and when somebody enters that in, you want that data to go to an Airtable spreadsheet as well as to MailChimp, right? You and I could do that using Python, no problem, or many
Right.
other languages, right? No
They
code,
have APIs.
no code. Yeah, they have APIs, right? So no code comes
Yeah.
in and just like allows a non-technical person to say, okay, where's the entry point? It's Google Forms. Where does it need to go? Do I need to clean up anything? What are the fields that need to go there? It's literally like almost like drag and drop, but you're selecting a bunch of things, and it then it will run every time that happens.
Mm.
You're basically creating your own software, but you're not writing the actual implementation of the software because that implementation already exists. It's well known. The results of it are pretty well known as well. So
Right.
that's no code. It might be something worth checking out, especially on
Sounds cool.
yeah. I think for prototyping for us developers, it's so much faster for us to prototype things. But I'm not. There's a bunch of marketers who are saying that we won't need developers anymore because of no code,
Mm.
which
That's dumb.
yeah.
You're always gonna need developers. I think. Like, there's no way. There's who's gonna build the new stuff? No code.
Yeah, well, so what they're saying is like a startup, for example, maybe you can create a really profitable startup with just no code and not actually hiring a developer at all.
Oh, okay, sure.
And
I didn't know.
maybe there's a tipping point where you'll then start needing developers that you're going to develop it all in house. But some people that are huge advocates of no code are saying that that won't need to happen because of all these API services that are out there. So I don't know. It's
I thought in general. I thought you were saying like there won't. These people are saying that in general there won't need software developers anymore. Like not just regarding the no code, like regarding everything.
yeah, I think it's maybe less software developers because you got to figure. I think about this a lot with AI too because they talk about the same thing. AI will mean that developers won't be needed either, right? Because they'll write code for us. I think of this more of no code AI developers is that it's just going to give our abilities just exponentially higher, right? So if
Yeah,
I
we can like we can go to the next level. We don't have to worry about that lower level anymore. It's like you get to a higher level of
yeah
abstraction,
yeah
which if you look at the progression of programming languages, that's really what it's been. It's like we start at somewhere, you build software on top of it, and then you can go to the next level. You build software on top of it, and you go to the next level.
totally. And I think that's the promise to me of where we're going with AI and where we're going with no code is it's going to have this convergence to where somebody that knows what they're trying to do, which is a developer, will be able to do things incredibly fast. And then we will have a lot more pseudo developers where they understand automation, but they don't understand how to write the code. And that's I think what the no code advocates are also going for, is that we're going to really just be clicking a bunch of things for automation, not so much writing the code that needs that automation. So we'll see.
We will see.
But Mitch, thanks so much for being on. Had a great time, dude. It was really good chatting with you. And where can people, or where should people find you other than maybe the links I have in the description?
No, that's it. I think you got them. Go to CodingWithMitch.com. That's the spot.
Coding with Mitch.
I think you got all the links down below. I looked at the description. You got like Twitter, Coding with Mitch, YouTube. Is there Instagram? That's probably it. Don't email me.
Yeah.
Just talk to me on those other places.
Yeah, those are good places. And then as far as them getting on your Discord, you said Patreon is a good way to do that. And then
that's the secret way, but the better way is just to become a member of my website.
Not so secret way. Sorry. So when they become a member, do you just send them an invite? Is that it?
Yeah, they can go. If you become a member, you can go to your profile on my website, and there's a link that says join Discord.
Perfect.
That's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, Mitch.
Right on. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so
fun.
much, man.
We'll do it again sometime.
I hope so. All right, dude.
Have a good one.
Bye.